Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Lamb, sitting in for David Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. A cargo ship rammed into a bridge in Baltimore. What we know so far on the collapse and rescue efforts. The Chinese Communist Party interferes with a New York-based performing arts company. We'll take a closer look at the CCP's history of attacks. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. reveals his running mate. We'll bring you the details. First up, a bridge collapsed in Baltimore, Maryland overnight. Governor Wes Moore has declared a state of emergency. Rescue operations are underway for people who were on the bridge and fell into the water. Here's the latest situation. National Transportation Safety Board officials are now investigating the cargo ship that rammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The ship took out the main support columns and caused it to collapse around 1:30 a.m. Tuesday. Emergency responders say at least 7 people were missing and 2 were rescued from the water. Sonar has also detected cars in the water. To help with the rescue efforts, the FAA established a no-fly zone around the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Drones are also not allowed to operate.
We're talking about a deep channel port. It's 40, 50 feet of water, strong currents. The weather is windy, the water is cold, and so we certainly worry about those who are in the water, not to mention the fall from the bridge. For folks who we know that there were individuals working on the bridge.
We are still investigating what happened, but we are quickly gathering details. The preliminary investigation points to an accident. We haven't seen any credible evidence of a terrorist attack. Our administration is working closely with leaders from all levels of government and society to respond to this crisis.
The cargo ship that rammed into the bridge is Singaporean. The ship's company says all 22 crew members on board are accounted for, and there are no injuries. The companies will fully cooperate with U.S. officials. Singapore's Port Authority says it's in contact with the U.S. Coast Guard and the ship's company, and will also cooperate in the investigation led by NTSB. Now let's take a look at other top headlines. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments today in a major case involving abortion pills. The Biden administration wants to preserve broad access to the abortion pill mifepristone. The FDA gave its opening statement.
Millions of Americans have used mifepristone to safely end their pregnancies. Respondents may not agree with that choice, but that doesn't give them Article III standing or a legal basis to upend the regulatory scheme. At the outset, respondents lack standing. They now concede they can't rely on a statistical theory of injury like the lower courts did. Instead, they have to identify a specific doctor who faces imminent harm.
The Biden administration is appealing a lower court's ruling that would limit how mifepristone is prescribed and distributed. 4 medical associations and 4 doctors who oppose abortion brought the challenge to mifepristone in Texas. After the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, medication-based abortion has become the most common method of ending pregnancies in the United States. They now account for more than 60% of abortions. Hundreds of protesters from both sides of the abortion debate gathered outside the Supreme Court as justices hear the case. Former President Donald Trump's Truth Social company just went public today, and the trading started with a bang. The stock, under the ticker symbol of DJT, surged about 56% at the open to $78, and the shares created such a frenzy that Nasdaq briefly halted its trading just 2 minutes after it began for the day. Trump media shares have since stabilized at around $70, marking a 40% increase from Monday's close. The company is currently valued at $13 billion, and Trump's holding is worth about $6 billion. But likely, Trump is not allowed to sell any of his shares during the first 6 months lockup period.
Truth Social is doing very well. It's hot as a pistol and doing great.
Research firm SimilarWeb estimates that Truth Social had roughly 5 million active mobile and web users in February. That's far below TikTok's more than 2 billion and Facebook's 3 billion, but still higher than other alt-tech rivals like Parler. Yesterday, Trump media CEO Devin Nunes, a former House Republican, said, "As a public company, we will passionately pursue our vision to build a movement to reclaim the internet from big tech censors." CCP's sabotage campaign in America to suppress a U.S.-based performing arts company. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, appears to be stepping up its campaign against Shenyun Performing Arts. The Performing Arts Group says it received 3 bomb threats in just over a week. One such threat targeted the company's headquarters in New York. 2 others were sent to the theaters in Costa Mesa, California, and Vancouver, British Columbia, saying that a bomb would be detonated if the theaters didn't cancel the performance. All incidents turned out to be empty, but the FBI and Vancouver PD are currently investigating the respective cases. The New York-based classical Chinese dance company has been a top target of the Chinese regime since its formation in 2007. The company's website documented several incidents of tour bus tires getting slashed, which could lead to dangerous blowouts on the freeway. Many U.S. government officials and Chinese-American associations have received letters from local Chinese consulates pressuring them not to attend Shenyun performances. Several of Shenyun's artists experienced CCP persecution firsthand in China for practicing Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa. It's a meditation practice based on truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance, but it has been persecuted in China since 1999. A Shenyun vice president said the latest round of threats is the Chinese regime's last-ditch effort to suppress the group on U.S. soil. RFK Jr. announced he's chosen Nicole Shanahan as his vice presidential running mate for his 2024 presidential bid. The announcement comes as his campaign aims to get on the ballot in all 50 states. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
Just moments ago here in Oakland, California, RFK Jr. announced entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan as his running mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next Vice President of the United States, Nicole Shanahan.
Shannon, who has not held public office before, is the president of BioEcho Foundation and a California-based attorney. She was born in Oakland.
I will work with Bobby Kennedy to make America once again a country of peace, a country of compassion, a country that is prosperous and free. And this won't happen overnight, but I have seen miracles that the human spirit can accomplish.
I want Nicole to be a champion to the growing number of millennials and Gen Z Americans who have lost faith in their future and lost their pride in our country.
Kennedy, who changed from the Democratic Party to an independent in October, has said multiple times that his goal is to be on the ballot in all 50 states. However, in order to accomplish this in about half the states, he needs to have a running mate chosen. Kennedy is on the ballot in Utah. He has enough signatures to qualify to be on in New Hampshire, Hawaii, and Nevada. However, there's been reports that he might have to redo Nevada because he didn't have a VP chosen. Kennedy does seem to be the most promising third-party candidate for president. A Real Clear Politics poll showed Kennedy at 15% nationally in a 3-candidate race with Trump and Biden. CNN polled Kennedy at 16% in Pennsylvania and 18% in Michigan in a hypothetical run against Trump, Biden, and Cornel West. An AP NORC poll done in February said 29% of Americans didn't know enough about Kennedy to form a view. Jason Blair, NTD News.
For many, spring break is turning out to be a snowy one. As a spring storm continues to blanket Minnesota and parts of the upper Midwest with heavy snowfall, NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
The most severe aspect of the weekend storm in the Twin Cities and southern Minnesota seems to have passed. However, light to moderate snowfall persisted in areas to the north and west of the metropolitan area Tuesday. The accumulation of 8 inches of snow in certain areas of the Twin Cities led to the closure of several schools and the cancellation of a few flights at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport.
This morning, the heaviest I've ever lifted in my entire life. I'm way too old for this. I mean, obviously, we need the moisture, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I just wish it had been a little bit more spread out throughout the season.
Since Sunday, the State Patrol has reported approximately 400 crashes, resulting in over 20 injuries and at least one fatality. Warnings and advisories for blizzard or winter storm conditions extended across a significant portion of Minnesota and sections of Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. According to the National Weather Service, in northern areas of Minnesota and Wisconsin, snowfall rates could reach up to 2 inches per hour. One resident anticipated the snowstorm.
My birthday's at the end of April, and every year I get excited. Well, a lot of people get excited because they think the spring is coming in and the winter's over. But since I've been little, every time there's that one last snowstorm that we always get.
Much of eastern Minnesota can expect additional snowfall accumulations, but the most significant totals will be in northeast Minnesota, with many seeing about 12 inches of snow. Christina Corona, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. California plans to cut back on programs amid a looming budget deficit. Find out what's first on the chopping board. Check your cupboards. Another recall has been issued for a highly popular coffee mug. The NFL implements new rules to improve player safety following their annual meeting. We'll break down what's new. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Lamb. California is cutting back programs as the state grapples with a multi-billion-dollar budget deficit. The governor is planning to cut a program that provides fresh produce for low-income Californians.
Amid a multi-billion-dollar budget shortfall, Governor Gavin Newsom proposed drastically cutting the California Nutrition Incentive Program, a move that would cut off low-income Californians' access to fresh fruits and vegetables. It's part of a plan to cut about $37.8 billion from the 2024 to 2025 state budget. The program funded the state's Market Match initiative, which matches CalFresh recipient spending at farmers markets up to $15 per week. This means that CalFresh recipients who spend up to $15 at a local farmer's market will receive an additional $15, essentially doubling the amount of food the recipient can buy. This comes as the number of food-insecure households in California rose post-pandemic as the cost of living increased. The proposed cuts will likely impact rural farmers who rely on weekly farmers market sales as the main source of income. In an interview on California Insider Opinion, John Morlock, a former member of the Orange County Board of Supervisors, said California has the largest unrestricted net deficit in the U.S.
There's also the large possibility that taxes will be raised, which get real awkward in a recession or in a down cycle.
Some people are concerned about another 2008 recession happening again.
Hundreds of thousands of popular Starbucks branded mugs are being recalled after customers reported hazards after using the product. NTD's Christina Corona tells us more about the cups.
Nestle USA is recalling more than 440,000 Starbucks-branded metallic mugs after customers reported burns and cuts after using the product. The metallic-coated ceramic mugs with the Starbucks logo were included in 4 gift sets sold during the 2023 holiday season. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission reported 12 cases of mugs overheating or breaking when microwaved or filled with extremely hot liquids. 10 resulting injuries included 9 cases of severe burns and blisters on fingers or hands, and 1 cut on a consumer's finger. 1 injury required medical attention. The recalled mugs are the Starbucks Holiday Gift Set with 2 mugs, the Starbucks Classic Hot Cocoa and mug, the Starbucks Peppermint and Classic Hot Cocos and mug, and the Starbucks Holiday Blend Coffee and mug. Customers can check if their mug is recalled by examining the code located at the bottom of the mug. The mugs were sold online and in stores nationwide at Target, Walmart, and Nextcom from November 2023 through January 2024. Consumers are urged to immediately stop using the recalled mugs and can return product to the place of purchase or contact Nestle USA for a full refund. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Hollywood actor and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger reveals that he underwent a secret heart surgery earlier this week. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
Arnold Schwarzenegger announced on his podcast, Arnold's Pump Club, that last Monday I had surgery for a pacemaker and became a little bit more of a machine. A pacemaker is a small battery-powered device that prevents the heart from beating too slowly. Schwarzenegger said sharing the surgery goes against so much of my upbringing in Austria, where nobody ever talked about medical issues. Everything related to healthcare was kept to yourself. 76-year-old Schwarzenegger said he was born with a bicuspid aortic valve and inspired others with the same condition by sharing his surgery experience. Schwarzenegger had undergone 3 heart surgeries prior. He had a pulmonic valve replacement in 1997, open heart surgery to replace the aging pulmonic valve in 2018, and 2 years later he had surgery to replace his aortic valve, which helps blood flow out of the heart to the rest of the body. Scar tissue prompted his latest surgery, advised by doctors due to an irregular heartbeat. Schwarzenegger said he's doing well post-surgery and even attended an environmental event just days after Monday's procedure. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Shifting over to sports, the NFL's annual meetings are making waves with decisions on player safety and potential kickoff adjustments. NTD's Carlos Reyes has more on the story.
Today, we bring you the latest developments from the NFL's annual league meetings, where discussions have centered on enhancing player safety and revitalizing key aspects of the game. Let's delve into the first major announcement, the ban on the swivel hip drop tackle. This technique, characterized by a player grabbing an opponent, twisting their hips, and dropping their lower body to trap the runner's legs below the knee, has raised significant concerns for player safety. Last season alone saw a staggering 230 instances of this tackle, representing a concerning uptick from previous years. In response, the league's owners have unanimously agreed to penalize such tackles with a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. While this decision has garnered widespread support, questions remain about its enforcement and potential impact on gameplay. The NFL Players Association has expressed concerns about the consistency of officiating and the adjustments players may need to make to avoid penalties. Now let's shift our focus to proposed modifications to kickoffs. Despite once being a highlight of every game, kickoff returns have seen a decline in recent years, with just 22% of kickoffs being returned last season. This decline is partly attributed to teams opting for touchbacks to minimize injury risks. To address this, the NFL is exploring innovative strategies to inject excitement back into kickoffs while ensuring player safety. Proposed changes include adjusting player alignments and movement restrictions to reduce high-speed collisions during kickoff returns. These proposals come after 2 years of studying the XFL's kickoff alignment and input from special team coaches. Coaches and owners are actively engaged in discussions, recognizing the need to strike a balance between tradition and innovation. At its heart, the NFL's annual meetings serve as a forum for addressing critical issues and shaping the future of football. From prioritizing player safety to exploring ways to enhance gameplay, the league remains dedicated to ensuring the integrity and excitement of America's favorite sport. Carlos Reyes, NTD News.
With his one-of-a-kind world-class kites, one man from California has been bringing joy to his local community and beyond. NTD's Helen Billings hears more from the kite pilot.
Tony Jetlin from California is known as the Kiteman of Martinez. He flies his kites locally and at kite festivals around the world, and wow, are they huge. Jetlin has over 350 kites, mostly aquatic animals inspired by his experience as an ocean diver, in which he fell in love with the marine wildlife.
So when I'm flying my kites, it's like I'm making this giant aquarium in the sky.
Most recently, he traveled to India for an international kite festival. He was honored to be chosen to fly for the U.S., and he received an all-expenses-paid trip.
There's about 160 international kite flyers flying on this massive arena, this area to fly. And there were people from the Soviet Union. I was right next to my friends from the Ukraine, just down from the Israelis, all these people from all these different countries laughing and smiling and having fun playing with kites in the sky. And there was more than once comments were made, why can't the world leaders learn how to fly a kite?
Jetland flies kites for enjoyment and to relieve stress. His kites have brought joy to many people. With this, he has received a lot of support from his community.
About 3-4 years ago, I hurt myself while I was working. Hernia throughout my back. I was laid up for 3 months. And I had people sending me messages through Facebook, through the local media saying, hey, do you need anything? Do you need groceries? Do you need rides to the doctor? Do you need whatever? You know, we're here for you because you're always here for us.
He has flown kites in California to the backdrop of the Manhattan skyline, from Denmark to China, and for the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. But his favorite place is at home at the Martinez Marina.
When they asked me to fly for the 4th of July during COVID because they didn't have fireworks, I had over 1,000 people circumventing this field because the community loves the kites. It supports me, and it's the least I can do to give back to this community that has so loved and supported me.
Jetland's advice? Be old school. Put down the electronics, go outside, and fly a kite. In Martinez, California, Helen Billings, NTD News.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. The Justice Department offering up to $10 million for information on 7 Chinese hackers. Thousands have fallen victim to their hacking campaign across the globe. A list of targets: White House staffers, senators, Pentagon contractors, and British lawmakers. More details tonight coming on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Lamb, sitting in for David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.